Annie for our bullet journaling on a budget video. I went to a couple different places, Walmart and the Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree obviously is a good choice all the time because of the price, but Walmart, whenever you go to the end of school sales, like when they're doing the school stuff and everything starts going on clearance, you can get some really good deals. So we're going to jump into the spread and see what you guys think.
So with the composition notebook as my planner, which cost 25 cents, the pencils, which cost $1.25, the pump pencils, which cost $1.25, and then the pen, which cost $1.50. I bought the pen and the planner or composition notebook at Walmart, and the pump pencils and the color pencils at the Dollar Tree, and it cost a total of $4.25. So I think that that's a pretty good deal for doing a budget. I probably, when those composition notebooks go on clearance, I probably would buy enough for probably 4 to 8. I mean, if I was going to do that for the whole year, then I know I would have enough composition notebooks, and it would only cost me $2 for 8 of them. So, I mean, even if I only did 4 for the year, that would be plenty, and I think that that would only cost me $1, so it'd still be worth it even if it took it over $5. Anyway, kind of rambling a little bit, but the cover page, I had fun. It was mushrooms for the theme, and I was trying to think of like fall and different themes to use, and that was the only one I could come up with. I was like struggling a little bit. Because usually I plan out my whole year by themes, so just trying to choose a monthly theme is a little hard sometimes for me. Overall, I'm happy with the way the cover page came out. But I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about going for a budget. And I think that when you're trying to do a budget, you're trying to do bullet journaling on a budget, you kind of need to think about your supplies and what's the most important. So if you only have a limited supplies, composition notebooks are good, but you need to think about at least need a pencil, because if you pencil it in first, you are less likely to ruin a page, which then makes you so frustrated with your planner to begin with. And so I like pump pencils because then I can sketch it all out. I can make sure that I'm on point with everything, and then erase all my mistakes if I make any mistakes before I use my pen. And I like the multicolored pen because then I get 4 pens in one, and I can use color coding for my calendar and for my other things that are throughout my pages, and focus on using red for like appointments, blue for projects or anything else I want to note, black for like my work job, and green for like paydays or anything like that. So I mean, that kind of thing is really can help a lot when you're trying to do bullet journaling, to think about your supplies and what are the only essential supplies you need. And color pencils can last you through the whole year, and they give you a little bit of color without having to worry about markers. You can use Crayola markers too, which you can buy at the Dollar or Walmart for clearance when it's school supplies clearance. It only costs a couple dollars more, but if I wanted to stay under $5, I would just go with the color pencils. So I mean, it depends on your budget, but you can choose depending on how much you have. If I had $10, I'd probably choose markers over pencils, but if you're using a composition notebook, you need to remember that markers are more likely to bleed than color pencils. So choose it by what you're using for your planner. That'll decide how you're going to choose your other supplies. So that way you don't have so much bleed through, you don't have any of that shadowing kind of thing going on, at least minimized. I tried to be gothic with the lettering for the cover page for October. I think it turned out kind of cute. I think I should have penciled in October. This is where the pencil comes in. If I would have penciled it in, it would have turned out a little bit better. I think I tried to pencil it in, and then I just started winging things whenever I was creating the layout. And I'm sometimes like that, but if I pencil everything in beforehand, it kind of keeps me a little bit more contained with my craziness and how sometimes I can mess up the count of different things. So, I mean, it's something to keep in mind when you're doing your planner, so that way you're not wasting pages. I would also probably get a glue stick, because if you find other pieces of paper you can stick into your planner, that's always a good thing to try and do. You can use like paper bags from the grocery store, other things, which we'll probably do in another budget planner video of seeing what we can use. Overall, I think the mushrooms on the cover page are really cute, and I'm really trying hard not to be rambling all over the place. I'm sorry guys, but I just wanted to talk about budgeting or bullet journaling on a budget. And I think that it's kind of important to remember that you can still make it beautiful even if you don't have the funds to buy all those fancy supplies. So whenever I started doing the calendar, this is one thing I always suggest: using a pencil and an eraser. Why? Because I tell you what, almost every month I freaking miscount my squares, or I started on the wrong day. And so I have to like look at a calendar, and even sometimes when I'm looking at a calendar and I'm putting it into my book, I will still mess up. So pencils when you're getting your calendar set, and double check it and triple check it before you start pinning it in, because I tell you what, this is always the part where I mess up, is the calendar, if I don't pencil it in first. I don't understand sometimes why that happens, but I think it's just my rush to try and get everything done. Most of my setups, I try to pencil them in, and that's my most time consuming part. And once I pencil in, which can take me maybe 45 minutes, maybe a little less than that, sometimes more than that depending on the spread, but once I get the penciling in, when I start adding the ink to the page, it goes a lot quicker, because I already know what I'm doing. I know I checked it and double checked it and triple checked it, so I know I'm good most of the time. But with the way I do my planner, I always feel like the calendar is one of my most important parts, so I try to give myself big enough squares that I can write all my dates in there and everything that's going on. And I started adding colors to the top of each page because I felt like that was really added a little something. It gave it some decoration without going too over the top, kind of kept it minimalistic. And I wanted to do goals on the side because I think that the goals can help me know what I'm doing for each month. When I think about goals, I have to think about the type of word I want to use. Maybe I don't want to use goals. Goals sometimes feel like, I'm not quite sure what it feels like, but I was thinking maybe actions or plan or projects. But see, I tried using projects too, and it didn't quite work out. But I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with this. And it helps me because when I do the bullet journaling on a budget, I actually use them as templates and ways to figure out what will work in my full-time yearly journal. So that is one tip that I suggest for you. Get an extra composition notebook just to try templates and layouts to see what works for you for your regular bullet journal. With the weekly setup, I wanted to try a different method, and I wanted to use the boxes for each day of the week. However, doing the bullet journaling for 2 years now, I know that most of the time when I do this type of setup for weekly, it doesn't work out for me. So I thought I would kind of look at this as a experiment and set up the boxes as little to-do sections. So for home, work, projects, different things like that, and break it down to-do list in each one. It would actually show me which to-do list has the most items to do, but also it might limit the amount so I don't get so overwhelmed every week with trying to get everything done all in one week. It'll help me kind of keep realistic goals. And I think that when we look at our bullet journaling, we can make a beautiful bullet journal in any type of setup, but we need to be aware that our supplies are important to our bullet journaling journey. And I think that when we think about our supplies, pencils, markers, as long as we're using them to create something that makes us happy, then our journal will work for us in the best possible way.
Okay, now that we're done with the bullet journal on a budget, I think that using composition notebooks when you're on a budget is one of the best things that you can do. Composition notebooks are really good. They have a lot of pages, and if they're cheap, you can do multiple ones over the year. And I think that the size of them gives you a lot of room to write. So that's one of my tips for if you're trying to do it under $20, $10, even $5, as I've shown in this video. All right, good luck in your bullet journaling on a budget. All right, see you in the next video. Bye.